All right. So what we're looking at is for the first question for the review. Now, I know some of you did this in class, some of you didn't, depending on how the game played out, but going over all these questions regardless of whether you did it or not. So, it says find x to the nearest tenth. Okay? So, remember, we need to decide first sine, cosine, or tangent. So, coming from here, it's straight out from that angle. So that makes this the opposite side. Coming from here, the right angle, there's our hypotenuse. So we have, and there's actually numbers there, so that's our opposite and hypotenuse. So that makes it sine. So sine 2x is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. So 2.08 over 5.04. Now, because we're looking for the angle, we rewrite it as sine inverse, or inverse sine, 2.08 over 5.04 equals 2x. Now, here's where we take the calculator. We press the trig button. We go to sine inverse and press enter. And then we type in 2.08 divided by 5.04. Enter. And because it says to the nearest tenth, that's 24.4. The 7 makes the 3 go up. So 24.4. And that's equals 2x. Well, we want 1x, so we divide by 2. Well, 24 divided by 2 is 12. And 4 divided by 2 is 2. So 12.2. And that's it. Okay, that's the first question. Okay, now for the second question, it says we have an isosceles triangle. Okay, since we know it's isosceles, that means it's a 45, 45, 90 triangle. And so that means it follows the x radical 2 formula. We want to leave our answer in radical form. Okay. Now, that means that the two sides are x and the hypotenuse is x radical 2. Well, it tells us one side is 15. Yep. And so, if this side is 15, that side is 15. And so, x is 15, x is 15, you're welcome. And so if x is 15, we just replace this x with a 15, and radical 2 stays there. And that's our answer. It's 15 radical 2. And that's all there is to the question. We're just replacing the x with 15. This here is on your reference sheet. It's easier if you memorize it, but it's on the reference sheet. You just have to remember to use it. Okay? You have to recognize that an isosceles triangle is the 45, 45, 90. And so you use the right formula. Okay? Now for this one, again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. You're going to get sick of me hearing me say it. Draw a sketch. Okay? It's a very important tool. Okay? A totem pole in the state of Washington is 150 feet tall. Okay? So 150 feet tall. At a particular time of day, the totem pole casts a 317-foot long shadow. Find the measure of the angle that would be created if you were to connect the end of the shadow to the top of the totem pole. So if we were to connect these, what is the angle that would be created here? Well, from here, we have an opposite side. This would be our right angle, and so this would be the hypotenuse. Well, we have no value for that, which makes this our adjacent side. So we have an opposite and an adjacent. Well, opposite and adjacent means we're dealing with tangent. So tan x is 150 over 317 because it's opposite over adjacent. We're looking for the degree to the nearest degree, so that's inverse tan to the -1 of 150 over 317, and that's x. So again, we take out the calculator, we turn it on, all that fun stuff, that's step one. You'd be surprised how many people have to be told step one is turn the calculator on. And then we just put in, we choose tan inverse, and then 150 divided by 317. Enter. Now we get 25.3, but because it says to the nearest degree, 3 doesn't make it go up, so it's 25 degrees. And that's it. Question done, we move on. Okay, for the next one, what is the length of AB to the nearest 10th? Well, AB is right here, so we'll call it X for right now. Well, across from here is the hypotenuse, because that's a right angle. Across from angle A is our opposite, but there's no number there, which makes this our adjacent side. So if we have an adjacent and a hypotenuse, that means we're dealing with cosine. So cosine 81 is x over 3.18. So we do 3.18 cosine 81 equals x. And again, we take out the calculator, turn it on because it turned itself off, and we type in 3.18 cosine 81. Enter. And it's round to the nearest 10th, so the 9 makes the 4 go up, so 0.5 is x. And we're done. 4 questions down. As always, if you're watching this and you come across a question that you don't feel like I explained well enough, send me a message on Teams. I'll answer. Okay. So next, we've got a triangle is an equilateral triangle with side lengths of 18 feet. What is the length of AD? So, AD is here. We know that this is 18 and this is 18 because it's equilateral. We know that this entire distance is 18. we know that this angle was 60 and this angle was 60. This makes 90. So that means we have if this is 6, then we know these are 60 because it was equilateral. So 60, 60, and this was 60 to make 180. If this is 90, 60 and 90 make 150, so that has to be 30. Now, because this is bisecting, and it adds the 18, this has to be 9. So we've got a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Well, this fits the pattern of x radical 3, and 2x. Well, the shortest side is always x. So that's 9. 2x is the longest side. That's 18. So we just have to fill in this side. And so that would be x is 9, so that's 9 radical 3. We just have to recognize that this cuts off and makes a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Once we recognize that that it's a 30, 60, 90, we just have to fill in based on that formula. So again, this formula is on the reference sheet, and it'd be easier to memorize it. But once we have that, once we know that and recognize it, it's just fill it in. Okay. Now, the next one, number 6. A slide 4.5 meters long makes an angle of 27 degrees with the ground. Okay. Make a sketch. So, we've got 5.4 meters. And here's our ground. And it's 27 degrees. How far above the ground is the top of the slide? So there's x. Okay. Well, so it just wants to know that. So if we come, so for out from the right angle is the 5.4. So that's our h. If we come out from this angle, we hit the x, so that's our O. And so if we have opposite and hypotenuse, that's sine. So sine 27 is x over 5.4. Well, that's rewritten as 5.4 sine 27 is x. So again, the calculator comes out, we turn it on, and we do 5.4. Go to trig, choose sine, type in 27, press enter. Now, it doesn't tell us what to choose, so we round to the nearest tenth. The 5 makes the 4 go up, so 2.5 is x. So it's 2.5 meters. Okay. Identify what we're dealing with, whether it's sine, cosine, or tangent. Plug in and solve. Number 7. Now, for number 7, triangle ABC is shown. Which statement is false? So we're looking. So 3 of these are true. 1 is not. We're looking for which one is not true. So AB equals 1/2 of AC. Well, this angle is congruent to this angle, so that means that this has to be a 45, 45, 90 triangle. Well, as soon as we've said that, we know angle D is, or angle A is 45, so choice D is out. Okay. Okay, that was weird. My broom fell over for no apparent reason. I'm being haunted. Okay. Now, given that this is a 45, 45, 90 triangle, that means that one side is x, the other side is x, and the third side is x times radical 2. Well, that means if I read it out like this, that would be x, x, and this side would be x radical 2. Well, if I fill it in, that would be x. So AC, that would be 18 over 2, essentially. And so, but even without the number, that's x radical 2 over 2 equals AB is x. Well, and so what we have to ask is x times 2 the same as x radical 2? Well, square root of 2 is square root of 2 equal to 2? Because in order for this to be true, square root of 2 divided by 2 would equal x. But the square root of 2 as a decimal is 1 point something, not 2. And so that can't be true. Okay? So A is the answer. Now, if we go through and we look at our other choices, AB is equal to 9 radical 2. Well, since this is the case, in order to find x, we would do 18 over radical 2. Well, that means we multiply by radical 2 over radical 2. And that's 18 radical 2 over 2, because square root of 2 times square root of 2 is square root of 4. Square root of 4 is 2. 18 divided by 2 is 9. So 9 square root of 2. And so that's x. So AB is the square root of, AB is 9 radical 2. Now, cosine of A. Well, the opposite would be this. So this would be the adjacent side. So the adjacent side is AB. Hypotenuse is 18. So AB over 18 would be the cosine. So two ways to do it. You can look at them and prove that these three are true and get that, or you can think it through logically and realize that the square root of 2 divided by 2 doesn't equal x. Okay. Now, to a simpler question, a right triangle is shown below. What is the cosine of theta? This is just the Greek letter theta, and it's basically like asking what is the cosine of x. They just use the Greek letter theta. So, what is the cosine of this angle? So, there's our h. there's our O, which means this has to be our adjacent angle. I'm actually writing out the words so we don't confuse it with that A. And since cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, well, there's our adjacent, B, and our hypotenuse is C. B over C it is. And that's it. We just have to write the fraction. Okay. Number 9. Triangle shown below. Find the length of the longer leg. If your answer is not an integer, leave it in simplest radical form. Well, they tell us this side is 60, so that we know that we're doing a 30, 60, 90 triangle. And so that's a x radical 3, 2x formula. Well, since this is across from the 90, that's our 2x. This is our smallest angle. So this is our x. And so this is our longer leg. And so this is our x radical 3. Well, we know 2x is 28. So to find 1x, we divide by 2. So 28 divided by 2 is 14. And if x is 14, we replace x here with 14 and just bring down the radical 3. So 14 radical 3 is our answer. That looks like 4 radical 3. So 14 radical 3. And that's it. Again, recognize this is a 30, 60, 90 and apply the formula. There's number 9. For number 10, airplane pilot flew over the Pacific Ocean, sights an island at an angle of depression of 10 degrees. At this time, the horizontal distance, so the distance from the airplane to the island is 5731. What is the height of the plane to the nearest meter? So how far down is it? And so this is the angle that it's talking about. So 10 degrees. We're looking for that. Well, across from that is x, so there's our opposite. This is our right angle. And so there's our h, which makes this a. We don't know h, so that makes this tangent 10 equals x over 5731. So we do 5731 tan 10. Now it says nearest meter, so we're not going to have a decimal answer. Again, turn the calculator on. So 5731 trig over to tan. 10, not 101. Press enter. The 5 makes the 0 go up. So 1011 is x. So 1011 meters. And that's the answer. Okay. And then we take a look at the last question. It's a three-part question. Part A, Part B, Part C. Now, it is probably the hardest question on there, but it is not so hard that you can't do it. Okay, take a look at the different pieces. First, this T should be a C. Okay, it says find tan C, give an exact answer. Well, we can't find tan C because we don't know what our opposite and our adjacent sides are. But we do know that ABC is similar to DEF. So that means angle C and angle F are equal. Okay, so angle C is congruent to angle F. So that means their tangents will be equal. So we find angle F, its opposite is 40 and its adjacent is 60. So tan F is 40 over 60. Well, when we reduce that, that's 4/6, which reduces to 2/3. So tan F is 2/3. And since they're equal, that means tan C is 2/3. And so that's part A. And that's our exact answer. Now for part B, it says find the measure of angle C, round to the nearest tenth. Well, again, we can't find it because we only have one side. But angle F and angle C are the same size. So we start with angle F. We know tan F equals 2/3. So that means if we do inverse tan of 2/3, we'll get angle F. So we take the calculator on, and we do trig over to inverse tan, 2 divided by 3, we get 33 point, and the 9 makes the 6 go up, so 33.7. And so if angle F is 33.7 degrees, the measure of angle C is 33.7 degrees. Now, for part C, that I'll put over here, where there's room, it wants to know AB. Well, AB is the adjacent side. 20.5 is the hypotenuse. So if we have an adjacent side and a hypotenuse, and we know that this is 33.7, that's cosine. So cosine 33.7 equals A over 20.5. And so that's 20.5 cosine 33.7 will equal A. And so again, since it turned off, we turn it back on. $20.5 trig cosine 33.7, enter. The 5 makes the 0 go up, so 17.1 equals A. And so CB equals 17.1. And that's A, B, C. And that's everything on the test. Again, if you have questions, if you don't feel like I explained everything well enough, if you need more help on something, let me know. Send me a message on Teams, and I will help you out. Okay? Please study. Please be prepared. Good luck.